He is a scientist in Biodiversity Park Program of Center for Environmental Management of Degraded Ecosystem, University of Delhi. He studied from University of Delhi. He went to PW High School, Kangra in 1984. He is going to be enlightening us with ecological restoration, the only hope for environment. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Very. Oh, can you disable me to participate in screen sharing?
No,
You
sir.
please disable me. You disable me so that I can share my screen. That is not possible.
I would request Abhinandan to kindly see up on this matter.
Can you allow me to share my screen, please?
Sure, sir, just a second. Sir, try once.
Just a moment. Oh, no, it is not allowing to participate. It says the host disabled participant is screen sharing.
Sir, shall I make you the host?
You see, when I try to share, it says host disabled participant is screen sharing.
So,
you make host probably. You make host probably. I don't know.
Janvi, make host, sir. Then I think it will be possible for sir to start.
Yeah, just a second.
So thank you so much for inviting me for this talk. It is always great to interacting with the student because you are the one who need to carry forward everything in the world. I hope you are my screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir, it's perfectly.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now you see when forest is shrinking, river is drying, wetland is dying, then what is left? How do you see to survive in this on this earth? Every step, what is happening today takes us towards extinction. It seems that we are going to lose everything. And couple of months we have suffered a lot, and we started thinking about it, that ecology is the basis for our survival. Why I'm telling you this thing? Because when you look at the IUCN red data list, which itself suggests that bigger animal like mammals, to about 25% of mammals are threatened with extinction. If big body size animals get threatened with extinction, means you are at higher risk. And this is not uncalled for. When you look at just 10,000 years ago, there were only 1% human beings and about 99% wild animals were there on the globe. But today, when you look at it, more than 30% human beings with more than 60% of livestock, we have left only 1% for the wild animals, a space for wild animals. What it suggests? It suggests that probably we are facing towards mass extinction. Why? Because, 60 billions ago, when the last mass extinction happened, since then, the moment human beings emerged on this globe, things has gone very different. The rate of extinction has gone very high. And therefore, it seems that soon the entire earth will be, I don't know, will be occupied with some other species. And that's why we call it as an Anthropocene extinction or six mass extinction. So what are the drivers which are making this extinction to happen? The first and foremost, what do you call, culprit is land use change. Because when you see today, there is an agriculture field, tomorrow it's become multi-story building. Today you have a river, tomorrow there is a flyover crossing that river. Today you have, what do you call, wetland, tomorrow you have multi-story building on that area. So severe land use change leads to distraction, and that is the major culprit which is responsible for biodiversity loss. And since population is growing, it leads to overexploitation, many mouth to feed, therefore more area being converted into agriculture field, and therefore agriculture intensification is other important factor which is actually leading towards biodiversity loss. Pollution is one of them, and the most serious issue which we never see towards it, that is invasive species. If you see very close to your college itself, there is a ridge called Delhi Ridge, and when you go to northern ridge, you won't find any single species other than Prosopis juliflora or Bilati kicker, which is clearly states that the native vegetation has gone from the ridge. And when you go to River Yamuna, finding native species of fish is a bit difficult. What you find is Thai mango and other, what you call, invasive alien species of fishes. And when climate change is very evident, all these, what you call, cause accelerate too much and creates problem. So when all these things happen, the serious issue arrived on this globe is even today we are utilizing resource of more than 1.7 Earth, knowing the fact that we have only one Earth, but we are utilizing resource of more than 1.7 Earth. It itself shows that why it happens. It happens because there is a grave injustice in resource distribution. So what evolution suggests? When you look at the cornerstone of evolution, which is mutual regulation of population sizes of species, and when you have a very limited environmental resource, then it becomes very critical for the sustenance of natural ecosystem. And therefore, whenever one species become dominant, epidemics of pest and pathogen occurs to control other population. And what is happening in COVID-19, it is evident very clearly when during first wave, when half of the planet was under lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic, the air quality improved in first wave because the fossil fuel use was extremely low. No vehicle was flying on the road, no aeroplane was flying, and therefore use of fossil fuel was very low and air quality improved a lot. River pollution drastically reduced. So what it suggests that if human beings are restricted within four walls, then these issues resolved very quickly. And if you look at whenever there is a problem at ecosystem level, disease appeared. What do you mean by it? It clearly shows that when you have a very, what you call, complex ecosystem, then disease tend to get diluted within the system. And when you have very simplified ecosystem, then disease is spillover and creates problem across the globe. And what is happening in the case of COVID-19? Because most of the diseases, if you see emerge in human, they come from animals, and therefore they're known as zoonotic diseases. And so far, more than 435 diseases appeared, which has jumped from animals to human beings past more than 50 years. And example would be HIV jumped from primates, if you remember. Ebola jumped from bats. And the latest publication of Nature suggests that coronavirus jumped from bat to pangolin, and which changed a little bit the virus and jumped to the human beings. So you see, some experts hope that pandemic will motivate efforts to address the relationship between drivers of biodiversity loss, which I shown you earlier, and with human health, and which will make us to learn that how to fight with zoonotic diseases. So What are the important ways to prevent zoonotic diseases? It is very clearly suggested by younger edition of UNEP that wild must be kept wild. What do you mean by it? It says that the wild you have, the forest you have, need to be protected. So biodiversity matters a lot in this case because biodiversity is life. And what is biodiversity? You see, this is a term which is being utilized, or every day we use it, overuse it, misuse it, and without understanding its definition. When you look at its definition, which clearly suggests that it can be simply defined as variety and variability of life forms, right from microbes to human beings and their habitat, what constitutes is biodiversity. So therefore, only variety cannot be biodiversity. What you need, variety and variability, means why my nose is different from your nose is variability. So without variability, bringing and sustaining biodiversity would be very difficult. And why do we need it? You need air to breathe because it is basis for our survival. You need air to breathe, you need water to drink, you need food for life. So everything comes from biodiversity, and therefore ecological sustainability is very key for long-term survival of human beings, and for which conserving biodiversity is very, very essential. And when you look at the urban centers, which are highly vulnerable, where ecosystem encroachment and simplification are rampant, because when you see everywhere we are playing with roads, because most of the time development is being seen through roads and buildings, and therefore when you go for it, you lose biodiversity. And biodiversity enrichment and enhancement through ecological restoration seems to be very essential to reduce the possibility of a spread of zoonotic diseases, along with receiving large number of other ecological goods and services. And therefore legendary ecologist from the University of Delhi, the former Vice Chancellor, Professor C.R. Babu, has suggested a model, and that is biodiversity park model, and which is seen as a viable option for sustaining urban biodiversity. So what is biodiversity park? When I look at the biodiversity park, it is a designated site with the assemblage of species in the form of biological community belonging to a particular ecological range. Here it is very important to understand, whenever you look at our establishment of management of biodiversity park, you need to see basic ingredient for biodiversity park, and that is what you call biological community belonging to a particular ecological range. Means if everybody mute, it would be wonderful. It's getting noisy for an area of 157 acres. So now you see this scenario. Initially, that site was very different and highly saline. And now when you see how changes took place, before it was a barren area, now it is 3-story forest. If you see carefully, a barren area become forest. And there were some of the indicators suggesting that this area has very, this area has what you call a very high level of subsoil aquifer, and therefore we dredged the area and we have created wetland. So what happened? If you look at it, initially we did some landscaping, and now we have 3-story forest where clearly evident. You see now we have created narrow shallow wetland, and now we have one of the beautiful forest community, that is Phragmites tamarix forest community, where you see, and where we have created a wetland of more than 1.5 kilometers. And last year we took this photograph. If you see, it looks like a very different ecosystem, a restored forest and restored wetland along the human habitation, which gives life to human habitation. You may ask what you achieved by doing it. You will surprised to see that some of these species like black heron, which were, deprived of their home 30-35 years ago, they started coming in the Yamuna University Park and making nest. And now we have created huge heronry. If you see, big heronry, various species coming together and breeding in the month of May in the Yamuna University Park. Similarly, when you come in the winter, these wetlands receive some of the beautiful birds like red-crested pochard from Europe, Siberia, and China. A lot of migratory.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So when you see in 2016, we received a big cat. Usually when you have a big cat in ecosystem, it is understood that you have addressed the trophic cascade, means all food chain is arranged systematically so that a top carnivore can sustain here. And this animal not only came here but stayed for 20 days, killed 2 nilgai calf, was ready to stay, but unfortunately forest department didn't like it, and this animal was caught and sent to Saharanpur in the natural forest. So these are some of the successful story which says that how ecological restoration is the only hope. Similarly, if you see one of the very important inland wetland, that was the Nila House, if you have seen on the Aruna Asif Ali Marg near JNU. uh, uh, Initially, historically, this lake was providing drinking water to entire southern part of Delhi, that is Mehrauli. But over a period of time, this lake was dead, desilted, a road was constructed over it, and then citizen went to Honorable High Court, and Honorable High Court directed Delhi Development Authority. Then Delhi Development Authority contacted Delhi University, and we have worked over it. And now you see this wetland is thriving well and revived, and a lot of migratory birds have started coming in. If you look at it, how it works, it is interestingly, if you see how the sewage is the only, what you call, source for water. So how we take this raw sewage into it, and through constructed wetland system, we clean it, and finally it goes to river. If you see, we channelize the water, we simulate the riverbed through the riverbed pebbles, if you see. Then we made constructed wetland. These are simulation of riverbeds, and these are constructed wetland where we played with 20-25 species of plants, and through which this dirty water goes and it gets cleaned. You now see, now pure clean water is coming out. And this is very age-old technology which we have revived, what you call as constructed wetland. And we suggested that all along the river, if we bring this technique, so probably without any electricity, in low expenditure, we can uh, clean all the drains, and clean water can reach to river and gives lives to river. If you see, uh, so therefore, similarly, if you see, Delhi has two life supporting system, River Yamuna and Aravali hill ranges. And when you see Aravali hill ranges, the popularly known as Delhi Ridge, is spread over an area of 7,777 hectares, and it is full of what you call Prosopis juliflora. And when we reach to Aravali Biodiversity Park, which is in Basant Kunj, it is DDA Biodiversity Park. So we got, moramine pits and clay mine pits, which was very difficult to restore. So now you see one of the moram mining pits has converted into recharging zone wetland without changing its landscape. We have restored 3-story forest. If you see here, this is earlier stage. Now the second stage is here, where you have 3-story forest, clearly suggesting that how it is not only keep PM 2.5 and 10, the particulate matter on it, but it also a very serious recharging zone in Aravalis. You look at it, the traditional grassland we have established in Aravalis, and when we did all these things, many species of animals have started coming in, especially jackal, nilgai, porcupine, and big monitor lizard like this, you see, started coming in and thriving in the biodiversity park. Not only that, we have created, for educational purpose, we have created orchidarium, orchid conservatory. In a place like Delhi, no orchid will flower. But in one of the mining pits, we have created such a natural environment that now orchids flower. Sometimes you visit Aravali Biodiversity Park, you will see orchid flowers. Similarly, many birds rediscovered, started recoming in Biodiversity Park, especially black eagle, rediscovered after 16 years, and many birds like Eurasian eagle owl started breeding in the Yamuna Biodiversity Park. So similarly, recently we got Tilpat Valley Biodiversity Park. It has mythological, what you call, features, because when in Ramayana, when Pandavas asked what you call Kauravas to give 5 villages, Tilpat Valley was one of the villages which starts from Haryana and ends in Delhi. So the last portion of Delhi given to us, and we are restoring it. If you see how we have restored, and these are very important recharging zone for water, because Delhi is a place which is suffering uh, uh, for water. And we are also working in Northern Ridge, which is in front of Delhi University. Recently, we started working in Tughlaqabad Biodiversity Park, and our intervention has started bringing huge python, if you see, huge python in it. And this is very recent introduction near Maharani Bagh, that is Kalindi Biodiversity Park, where 15-20 drains comes and goes to River Yamuna. So we are creating this kind of constructed wetland. So before water goes to Yamuna, gets cleaned through this constructed wetland without any consumption of electricity. And not only that, we received, before COVID, we kept receiving a lot of schools and colleges every year. Not only that, forest officers like IFS and range officers training kept coming for training. CAG brings a lot of auditors for environmental auditing training in these parks. So these parks become open air laboratory or living laboratory for the visitors, actually, where you want to see all the life cycle of what you call butterflies and many other species thriving, and you can experience those species in a natural habitat. And this is the biodiversity profile of the area, that how we have started Yamuna Biodiversity Park in 2002, Aravali we have started 2005, Neerahouse in 2016, Tilpadwal in 2015, Kamalan in 2015, and Tughlaqabad in 2016, and Kalindi Biodiversity Park very recently in 2019. And these are the species slowly started growing, what were in 2002, and now you see how it changes in 2020. So what it suggests that such biodiversity parks become ecological resilient landscape with varying habitat types, water regime, and altitudinal gradients could contribute to adaptation through maintaining and restoring native plant species, communities, wetland, and grassland, right? And any expenditure made should be seen as a, what you call, investment, because biodiversity is life, it is insurance of life. Thank you so much. Hello. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for gracing us with your valuable insights.
अरे रुका रहा भाई, जल्दी आ, चिल्ला रहा है. हाँ जी, हाँ, yes please, I'm sorry, somebody is waiting for me at this gate. Yes please, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your valuable insights and knowledge. We have been fortunate enough to have you with us today. I extend my heartfelt thanks from the Udaan Society to sir for sparing precious time from his busy schedule and gracing the session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
It was really wonderful.
I'm leaving because somebody is waiting at the gate. Thank you so much for giving.
Thank you, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you.
I am glad to witness such a great participation from the audience for their enthusiastic involvement in the live session. Thank you so much, everyone, for gracing us with the session with your presence. Thank you so much. Now, if everyone wants to leave, then they can leave.